Greetings, Internet! I am Pat626, and it's time for Subculture Talk. And I'm always happy to interview some of the best in new and classic goth, industrial, darkwave, deathrock, EBM, synthpop bands. But I have to admit, not only do I love Dead Cool, but they brought dogs into the virtual studio. So immediately, this is like my favorite interview ever. So, hey, folks, how's it going?
Good. How you
Good.
doing?
How are you?
I am great, folks. We have Johnny and Angela of Dead Cool in the studio tonight, and who are the puppos?
This is Romeo.
And this is Angus.
Yeah, God, look at him. Ah,
They've been really excited about this.
well, yeah, because they're trying to figure out why you got dressed up to talk to the computer.
Yeah, they think this is really interesting. They think this is really weird.
Probably the most interesting anybody has ever found me. So I'm here for it. Let's roll. So again, thank you all very much though for joining me tonight.
Thank you for having
Yeah,
us.
thank you.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, so we're gonna talk all about the band, but I do want to start with what I tend to call the supervillain origin story, and that is how did you even like? You guys have been making, this dark wave and goth tinged music, but how did you get into listening to it long before you became musicians yourself?
That's going back a lot
I
of
think-
years.
Let's go.
Ooh.
Can
Probably,
you remember?
probably back in the '80s when I was a little kid,
Uh-huh.
seeing like The Cure on like MTV,
Uh-huh.
stuff like that. Got into The Cure and like Sisters of Mercy, and that kind of started that ball rolling. So it was like Cure, Sisters of Mercy, Christian Death, Killing Joke.
Yeah.
And at the time, I didn't really know that that was goth. I just thought it was cool and weird and dark and different. But those were like the first bands that got me into everything.
It's not goth, it's cool could be like the tagline for the entire goth scene.
I
There
like
you
it.
go.
I didn't hear too many cool bands because first of all, it's so many years ago, but also I was living on a farm, so I grew up in the country in North Carolina, and I grew up in a super rural area and on a farm in the country. We didn't have a lot of cool stuff or things to listen to, so Johnny introduced me to a lot of stuff when we met, but you know, I feel like when I was younger, I didn't get the opportunities to hear a lot of the cool stuff just because of the location that I was living, and it was so long ago.
Yeah. But when we got together though, we actually used to ride around in a car and listen to like goth compilations and stuff like
Mhm.
that. We used to back then. This is like late '90s, early 2000s, and it's like we played in rock and roll bands and punk rock bands at the time, and we always talked about like one day we're gonna do like a goth band or a post-punk band, and it just never really happened. But we always talked about that, like for years. We'd always come back to that, like we're gonna do this one day.
We were saying that
Yeah.
since the late 90s,
Yeah,
early 2000s. We had a plan, and it took like 20 years for it to actually happen.
So wait, so the plan all along was to be in a goth band then?
We talked about it,
Yeah,
but we
we-
just didn't know how to execute it, I don't
yeah.
think, at that
Because
time.
we played in bands that were like, that toured a lot and did other things. So it was like we never really had the time to really set aside to do another project. But it was always like our thing. We'd always say it, and then other people would hear us and kind of like roll their eyes, like, "Oh, you don't want to do that," But yeah,
Back
it was
in
kind of
the-
like we always threatened, like, "Oh, I'm gonna do this one day," and it took until the pandemic to do it. But
So what about the pandemic kind of made it happen?
well, the pandemic, it just gave it time basically because our band at the time we couldn't practice or play shows, and we couldn't get together with other band members, so we were just kind of home like everybody else. And
we
I
had-
have a studio, so I write music, in here, and that whole thing came up again about doing a project like that, and then we were talking about how like if we were to ever play shows again, because we didn't know if like it was going to be the end of the world because it was the pandemic, and all this stuff. So we were just like, how can we do this?
I still haven't counted out the end of the world yet either.
You never know.
I mean, we isolated ourselves.
Yeah.
This is crazy, but during the pandemic, from about when first it happened, we took it really, really serious. I think we stayed in our house for a whole year. I can honestly say we isolated ourselves, and then we just got into, after that, not going anywhere. So we pretty much isolated ourselves for about a year, and didn't actually go anywhere.
Yeah, it was nice.
The dogs probably loved it.
The dogs loved it, and we were able to create a lot of music. That's all we did during that time. And that was just the time when we were able to be creative. Now that, life has changed and have to go back to work and get back into normal life, I kind of wish for those times back.
Yeah.
But I don't want the pandemic back.
I was going to say, you say something like that, the monkey's paw curls, and
yes.
we get COVID-2 electric boogaloo.
No, I don't want that. I don't want that. But it was a good time just to kind of reflect and, I don't know.
We were kind of tired. We were kind of tired of what we were doing at the time. We just kind of were burnt out. We played a lot with our old band, and we wanted to do something new. And it just gave us the time to do that and work it all out. And, and thankfully it happened, and we couldn't be happier. It's my favorite thing I've ever done. So.
Well, you always hope that about your current project, right? You always hope that you don't want to start a project and then it's like, man, I wish I was still doing that other band.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Because people ask us, they're like, "Are you ever come back with your old band?" We're like, "No, we're just doing this. It's what we love to do. We've had good response too. That was kind of the icing on the cake, because it was like stepping out, doing something new, and it was something we believed in. And you always hope when you do something that people are going to pay attention, and they did. And we had a lot of help from new friends in the scene that we met through the internet during the pandemic, and really things kind of took off for us more than we expected.
Well, I would say so. I mean, for instance, right now in the chat, it's blowing up with people jumping in saying, love Dead Cool, and you guys look great. And
thank you.
Yeah,
we love you too, and
yeah.
Romeo too.
I love Romeo. I swear, you keep doing that, and all of a sudden this is going to turn into pop culture talk, and I'm going to stop asking about the dance. So, you're right that it took off, because this is something that we talked about before this began, was that you guys, you started during the pandemic, and all of a sudden, last year was 2022. The pandemic started in 2020, and you were in the top 50 of Subculture Talk. Or Subculture Shock. Do you know how crazy that is for a band that is 2 years old to get into the top 50?
It's crazy to me.
We're very thankful, honestly.
See, it's bringing a tear to my eye.
Yeah.
It really is. Sometimes I just don't even think it's real.
and it's wild, because you're the second band that I've talked to this year that's we've always wanted to do this, and the pandemic finally just, it was all right, we either form this band or we die never having done it.
I know. And we really enjoy playing as a two-piece, because before, when we were playing in bands, we had other members, just like full punk bands or full rock bands. And, with, 4 members, 5 members, it's really nice just to be able to travel and do stuff. It makes it a lot easier. And I feel like we collaborate. We're so used to each other. And so we collaborate really well together and work well together. And so I really love just doing it as a two-piece also.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I feel like that, like you don't want to disparage the other members of the bands, but when you trim things away and it's just you concentrated, if that's what you've always wanted to do, I'm glad you finally got the chance to do that.
Yeah, I'm really happy. I definitely.
It makes things a whole lot easier.
Yeah.
We tour in a car now. We sold our old band van, and now it's touring a car. It's great.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is that you just take a couple synths and go.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, actually, and speaking of synths and how the band forming the sound, when you first started releasing tunes, like Bound by Light, one of your first songs that you released, was very like traditional goth rock sounding with the guitar, and you've still got a lot of goth rock sound. There are a lot of things in there where if you put a guitar in there or change like some of the synthier parts to organs, for instance, like people would be like, oh yeah, that's classic goth sound. What caused you though to move towards more of the heavy saws and things like that with synthesizers?
Well, I mean, when we put out Bound by Light, that was our first song we wrote for the band, and we fully intended to go in that direction with everything. And at the time, I was just starting to get into synthesizers because I was wanting like a different palette to like write songs with, so because I always write things on guitar. And when I finally got a synthesizer, I just got so obsessed with it, and I was like, oh, it's like something I've been missing out on my entire musical life, and it just kind of like it grabbed me, and so I immediately started writing on that. But funny enough, still, even though we don't use guitars on any other songs,
you write the songs on guitar.
I still write a lot of stuff on guitar. And our second song we ever wrote, the last time, I actually have a demo of it. It all had guitars and bass, and the synthesizer was in the background, and it was a traditional goth rock song, and I just wasn't digging it, so I changed it, but did all on synthesizers, and it just took on a whole new life.
I thought you were crazy at first.
Yeah, because I started running it by her. I was like,
I wasn't convinced at first. Yeah. I was the one who wanted to keep the guitars and the bass in the band, because when he said he just thought maybe if we just did the synth, I thought that was a crazy idea, to be honest. I
said to her too, I was like, what do you think about just synthesizers? And she's like, well, I always want a synthesizer. I was like, no, both of us just play synthesizer. She's like, well, who's gonna play guitar? I was like, nobody. She's like, I don't know.
It took
the synthesizer is the guitar.
Yeah, I wasn't sold on that at first, but when it's a lot easier also, since it is just the two of us though, with as far as traveling with the gear, that was another reason, because now that we got rid of the van, we can't fit everything in there, because at first I was still going to play bass, and but we can't fit everything in the car. So now we kind of are limited since we don't have a van. So that's another reason, because I think possibly in some of the songs I still would enjoy playing bass on, but we just can't carry it all.
So do you think that there might be versions where like you have recorded versions with bass and guitar, and then you just do live versions with just synth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because now we do Bound by Light all synth live.
Yeah.
Okay.
But when we recorded it with me on bass and Johnny on guitar, and oh god, he got stuck in a spider. But I wish you could see the rest of the room in here, because all the basses and guitars are actually in here.
They're just pushed out of the frame because no, just synths now, no guitars.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm actually a bass player and a drummer. I wasn't really, used to playing keyboards, so that was new to me.
Yeah, I wasn't either. It was kind of terrifying thinking about playing live. The thought of finally getting to play live, it's like, oh wow, we're gonna stay here with synthesizers. How weird is this gonna be? and it was actually really cool. And it was just just
Now I
you
love
had to
it.
get used to.
It's a lot
Makes
less
sense.
for me to carry than a drum set, that's for sure.
And our first show ever was we played Absolution Fest, so that was
Uh-huh.
kind of. So going out there kind of nervous, like playing synth in front of people for the first time and all that stuff.
And you're paying fucking Absolution Fest.
Yeah, it was crazy, and we're like, holy crap, this is crazy. And it's like with all these big bands, and we're like, how did we get here? It was just, it was neat.
What happened? How did this happen?
It was cool, but yeah, that's kind of how we ended up not using guitars anymore. Not to say we won't ever, but yeah, I think when I write songs, it's just like whatever the song really calls for is what it's gonna get.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did over the course of the pandemic, I really fell in love with analog synthesizers, and I always liked bands too, like Suicide, and Gary Newman and all that kind of stuff. Both of those people, they came out of the punk scene at some point, so it was like I felt a link there with that. So it's like, I felt like it was kind of a natural progression.
Well, I really do feel like there's a lot in common with like analog synth music, especially like synth rock and synth goth, and just punk music. I feel like there's this minimalist aspect to it that unfortunately a lot of the times you find that neither side wants to recognize that.
Right. I think like especially like a lot of like the minimal wave stuff, like that is just basically punk rock on synthesizers, and I love it. It's great.
Yeah.
It's breaking the songs down to like the purest form, and just it's great. It's very inspiring, stuff like that. That's the stuff I love.
So this is a common question for this show, because I play a great deal of variety, and I'm all about breaking down walls, but there seems to be a lot of contention over whether or not goth and other guitar-driven genres need to have guitar in it, whether it's like, okay, no, sure, this sounds very much like it has the beat and the chord progression and the vocal lines of a goth song, but because you're using analog synths instead of guitars, you're synth pop, you're not goth. Where do you guys stand on that?
Oh,
I don't know, to be honest with you. I mean,
that's a hard question, to be honest. We talk about this a lot, but I feel like that's hard.
I don't know. I don't fall. I don't know. I don't like to fall too deep into like labels on everything, because people go crazy with that stuff.
Yeah.
I think as far as music goes, I think like if you're, regardless if it's synthesizers or guitars, if it's good, it's good. And as far as making music, it should be whatever fits the song. That dictates having a guitar in there.
It's whatever
or
you
saxophone, or just all synthesizers. I think it's like people shouldn't get too hung up on things. They should just make the best music they can and enjoy good music, and not worry about all the trappings of all these little labels. Is this goth? Is this not goth? Or whatever. It's just.
I agree.
There's a lot of debate on the internet with that kind of stuff that I don't choose to get involved in.
But guys, if you don't have labels, how do you know whether or not you're cool?
Right?
Our name tells you we're cool.
How stupid of me.
He's a smart ass. Just so you all know, he is a real smart ass.
What? There are no smart asses on this show. It's not allowed. End the feed right there. So we talked about how you start writing the songs on guitar. So break me, if there is such a thing as a typical dead cool writing and writing session for a song, walk me through it. How does it go?
It starts with Johnny.
Well, it depends on what I start writing a song on. Sometimes it'll start with maybe a guitar riff.
Mm-hmm.
I just keep messing with over and over, or it might be, on a synthesizer. And if I work something on a synthesizer. Usually it's like a bass line. I'll get like a bass line or some kind of synth riff going, and then I'll just kind of repeat that over and over. I'll figure out a drum beat that sounds really good with it, and I start trying to work on try to work on vocal melodies. Like, is this thing that I'm liking, can this work as a chorus or a verse? You know, and I start trying to build from there. And then if I figure this would be a good chorus, I try to immediately start thinking of what would be a good, you know, chorus line for this. I start trying to work things out that way. And when all those things start coming together, then I go further with it. If it kind of just is a dead end, I just stop and do something new. But usually builds from either a guitar riff or a bass line on a synthesizer. Like I said, I work out the drums, try to find vocal melodies, and then just start layering things until, you know, I got a good core idea. And then I just continuously work on that until I either hit a wall or I just write something that I really like.
All right, and then so
I'm quality control. I just do quality control.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I was going to ask how finished is the song when you bring it to Angela? Like,
Usually about halfway there, because I try to ask her thoughts on it ahead of time. You know, she doesn't invest that much time that I have already invested by the time I bring it to her. So she'll tell me right away, like, oh, this sucks, or this is really cool, or this might be cool. You know, so it's basically like that. But yeah. So it's usually about the halfway point, or sometimes it'll be like, you know, quickly something will come together, like a vocal melody, and I'll have some words that I keep a file on my phone with like song titles, like, oh, this would be a great song title. It's like endless. That's usually how like the choruses of our songs, or, you know, end up, because it dictates like these song titles.
You go through and like, all right, which one of these song titles fits here? Let's go.
Yes, that's exactly what he does.
It's not very deep.
I imagine like a Wheel of Fortune, just.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, our one song, "Nothing But Us."
Uh-huh.
"Nothing But Us" was a song title that I had written in my phone. And when I had that whole song worked out, and I was coming up with the melodies for everything, for the verses and the chorus. And when I got to the chorus ended up being, I just took two of those song titles that were side by side, and just put them together, and that became the chorus. And I was like, wow, this is really dumb. And then I wrote verses to it, and then like she was like, this is great. And then we released it, and that's still like that's our biggest song still.
That's pop music, baby.
Funny, because it's like I was like, this is really dumb. But people love that song, and now looking at it, the words are really cool, but at the time it's like, you know, you're just like stringing things together, not thinking like, I don't know if this is going to be a permanent thing, but this is going to be a placeholder. Sometimes those placeholders become a permanent thing. So.
Yeah, the placeholder just became the song.
Yeah.
Tokyo Teens in chat pointing out that Johnny writes great hooky chord progressions.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Yeah. A lot of agreements in there on that one as well.
But yeah, the one thing that we try to do though is like, we really do try to write catchy songs, you know, and no matter like what style of music we play with, that's always been our thing. Like try to like incorporate as much hooks.
Okay.
So that's usually a big thing when I'm writing music. It's like, once I latch onto like a riff, and I was like, oh, this is cool, and the drums add to it and make it, you know, usually pretty dancey at times with electronic music, and then you're just like trying to find that. Well, it's not just like finding the right words; it's finding that vocal hook, you know. So it's like everything's got to be a piece of the puzzle to try to. It's like you're just throwing hooks on top of each other. Trying to anyway.
Hooks on hooks on hooks on hooks.
Yeah, that's the
Johnny's
idea.
like the Ramones of goth.
So
You heard it here.
So it's funny because it looked like you were almost about to blush when she said that, Johnny. But at the exact same moment she said that, Ken Magerman in chat pointed out that he's pretty sure you had the most #1 singles in the Sounds and Shadows chart in 2022.
I love it. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. So
we love Sound and Shadows.
Well, they obviously love you too.
Romeo says hi.
But that was another thing during the pandemic, things like Sound and Shadows, and there was so many other cool groups of people out there that were very helpful, whether it's a collective of DJs or people like helping each other out with information, how to do things. Like it's like that was a big thing that was really cool during the pandemic too, that I feel like definitely helped our band and sure helped out a lot of people. It's like
before the pandemic, we had never had that much time to network online just because of our jobs. Yeah. And so I feel like we never had the time to network or meet people. And so I'm really happy that we were able to do that. And
at the time too, it was like everybody was
at home.
Felt like they were bored out of their minds. So everybody was available. So it was very cool. Like people were more available at the time to listen to music and talk to each other and for that interaction. But places like Sound and Shadows were very helpful and a great place to connect and meet with like-minded people. So we're very thankful.
So I guess the question is, we've talked about how beneficial, if a global pandemic can be called beneficial, then how beneficial it was for the creation of the band and the proliferation of the band. But now that things are quote unquote getting back to normal, the jobs are starting up again. We're not always sitting in front of our computers hungry for the next thing anymore. People are starting to go to live shows. How does this change things for Dead Cool?
I'm happy to be playing live shows. That's for sure. Yes, the live shows, like I have so many shows that I'm super excited about right now, and just being able to play live, because actually my favorite part of the band is the live performances. I love playing live, where I think Johnny enjoys a lot of the behind the scenes. He enjoys writing music. He enjoys being in the studio. But for me, I'm much more of a people person. I love talking to people. I love playing shows. Like I love meeting other bands, going to see shows, and just being out and just going out. I love going out.
But I mean, I think it's definitely changed. It's nice to be able to go and play shows, and actually interact with people in person. But
and see bands in person.
And see bands. But it's weird. It is different than before the pandemic with even shows. Like you have a weird thing where I feel like I don't know. I feel like when the pandemic was first over and things started opening up, I feel like people were more gung-ho to go out and go to shows and go to anything, and
right.
Everything.
And I feel like now people have kind of pulled back a little bit. They kind of got that out of their system, so it's a little less people at shows in general, whether it's our shows or going to see shows.
Well, there's also there's so many shows right now because you've got
shows. I mean, I see shows popping up online all day, every day. I'm like, oh my God, it's so much to keep up on. I can't even keep up on who's playing where.
Yeah, and 4 of your favorite bands are all playing at the same time in different places.
And I mean, even in our small area, even in North Carolina, which is a small area, I mean, I'm feeling like there's shows. There's so many shows.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm happy. I'm super happy about it.
But it does make it hard as a band to get people to come to your show when they're going to 3 other shows instead.
Exactly. No, I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, but I mean, we are thankful where we live. There's not a huge scene here. Okay. So the people that do, love this style of music, they go out. So when
they're
we
hungry for
play
any music that comes through. Yeah. If anybody ever that's on here watching us on Twitch right now has a band, wants to come here and play, please hit me up, because the people here love to go out and they love seeing new music.
And that's what we've been doing. we're the only band like this in town. Well, I shouldn't say it. Now there's
another one.
2 other bands, but for a while we were the only band, and a lot, like, all these people come out and see us, and it's great. It's like a bunch of, you know, awesome people come out and see us, and we started trying to bring bands from out of state in now with shows and stuff, so we can expose the people here that don't get that stuff, you know, ever, you know, to these great bands, and, you know, bring these bands to where we live is a really beautiful area, so it's really cool. And it's just big shows don't come here, so we try to bring as many cool bands as we can and expose everybody to each other, and everybody that comes here and plays, they're like, oh, this is great, I can't wait to come back, Wilmington's so cool, you know.
It's really up the beaten path.
So that kind of works out in our favor, you know, because other than that, the closest big city to us is Raleigh,
which is awesome.
It's awesome. So there's a lot of stuff goes on there, a lot of big concerts and stuff. But we're fortunate for our area because there's the lack of, because it's a very, very small scene. There's not much going on. There's a DJ here that does a goth night, you know, and then we bring bands through and do like a you know, goth night and stuff. So, but people really come out here, and we're very happy for that. And
well, yeah, you love your small, excited scenes because they're the most welcoming out there. Like, I mean, I grew up in the Charlottesville goth scene, so it's not a huge scene, but it's known for being a very welcoming one.
Yeah. What was the band? The big band, was it Bella Morte or something?
Yep.
I have a new dog in the picture.
I just figured that Romeo changed costumes.
This is Angus.
But
he's not being as cooperative.
We're super happy, like, you know, to be able to go out and play and stuff, and we've been playing a lot actually in Florida, which has been.
That's a little bit of a drive.
It is, but it's worth it. People are always like, why are you guys always going to Florida? Florida is so cool. It's like, we became friends with, you know, when we did Absolution Fest with all the Community After Dark people, and they've just been so supportive and nice to us. So we always go down there and play shows, you know, that they put on, and then, you know, we started doing shows, and we're getting ready to go and play in Miami and Fort Lauderdale and down in Florida. Florida has a great scene.
It does.
It's crazy how good it is down there.
We just have to have a lot of sunscreen.
Yeah. We don't go out until nighttime. So.
But I'd say Florida is definitely our home away from home.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, when North Carolina finally is drowned underneath the waves, well, actually Florida probably will be too. You guys are just screwed, unfortunately.
Yeah.
We are.
So when we were talking about this interview, Angela actually made the point that apparently there was a holiday yesterday that we should probably work into the show a little bit. But it is neat because on this show I've gotten to meet a lot of bands, and there are a lot more romantic couple bands than you would think.
Yeah, I think there are.
There. Yeah, a lot of them. But it sounds like you all were a couple long before you were ever a band. So. Yeah. So before you were ever in a band together. Yeah, no, it sounded like a long time.
We've been together for 20 years.
Yeah, and I'm 20 years old.
Literal cradle robbing. Awesome. So, whose idea was it to be in a band together?
Well, so Johnny and I met 20 years ago, and I was actually, this is really showing our age, but I was working at a venue in Winston-Salem, and his band, he was playing in a band at the time, and his band was playing there. And so I really liked his band at the time, and thought he was pretty cute and all.
He changed your mind on that one, though.
I thought he was cute. He was, playing guitar, thought he was really cool. And so, you know, we met that night at the venue that I was working at. And I'm actually the person that had to pay him his $100.
A lot of people came that night.
Woo!
You know what?
Got my $100.
$100 for 2001 or 2002 was pretty good. That was good money for that time, honestly. I don't think that there was enough people there to actually support that $100. I think I probably got that $100 from my boss because I liked him. Not because of the people that came to see him play. The 10 people that were there. But anyway, we met when his band was playing, and I wasn't in a band at that time, but I learned to play bass. He taught me, he got me into playing bass, soon after that, because the bass player in his band at the time had left. Okay. And so after that, I was like, well, I want to be in your band. I want to be in your band. I actually lied to him, though. I told him that I actually knew how to play bass, but I did not. And
oops!
No. But
the things we do for love.
I really thought it couldn't be that hard. I was like, it's got 4 strings. It looks really easy. I was like, I can do this. Yeah. And so I went over to his house to try out for his band. I borrowed my friend's bass, and actually I did not get in the band. He turned me down very, very softly, like it was nice. He just said maybe another time. But we did start going out after that.
Yeah.
So you actually so basically you learned bass so that you could date him.
Pretty much, yeah.
Wow. What a love story.
That's embarrassing.
Became a great bass player, so.
Yeah, I mean, no, it worked out well.
We're still together, so I won.
Yeah.
I lucked out.
Did you win?
Oh, yeah.
I think he lost. I'm annoyed.
Well, yeah, no, I think that's one of those signs, though, is that, each person in a marriage thinks that they are totally, like, shafting the other one.
Right.
Like, oh, I don't know why you're here, but I got a great deal. I get to make this joke as a married person now.
Right, that's good. But yeah, so we've been playing music together for a long, long time.
Yeah.
We've been playing music together for so many years. It's just kind of like been part of our life together.
So, what are there any advantages that we don't immediately that people wouldn't quite think of for being in a married and in a band together? Like you said,
most likely the person in the band is not going to quit.
Yeah.
So there's
usually
that.
Don't have to look for a new bass player. You got that lockdown. So there's good things. I mean, as far as like when we used to tour a lot, so not having to be away from your significant other for a long period of time. The only downside to that is there's nobody taking care of your stuff when you're gone on tour. So
yeah.
But I mean, just being together, is nice. You don't have to leave anybody behind.
Yeah, because I feel like that makes it better because we can travel together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is too, it's like
we don't have to go anywhere to have band practice. We can just do it in our house. We can also wear pajamas.
Oh.
People ask us too, like how do you guys, play in a band together and work together and you don't kill each other, and honestly it's like you gotta be friends with your spouse. It's like I know so many people who are like the weekend hits and they're like, I am going out with my buddies, it's like they're gonna do whatever boys night out or whatever, that kind of stuff. It's like that I've never been there.
Yeah, no, that's something honestly I've never understood. It's like, why did you get married then?
Yeah, I don't want to get married to somebody I want to run away from every chance I get. And we're music nerds, so it's like before Angela started playing in the band with me, it's like we just listen to music and talk about music. Everything was just music. So it's like we bonded over that. We had all the same interests, and so it always worked out for us. I mean, we've been working together forever, living together. I mean, when we first started dating each other, I think we dated for 2 weeks, and then she moved into my house. So I was like,
wow.
Also embarrassing.
But I mean,
it's not embarrassing if it worked. I mean,
I don't advise that for other people. I don't advise that.
Yeah.
But, it's just the situation, the way it was. But I definitely advise people getting to know each other. I don't think that everyone should just do that. But it did work for us. Yeah. And I think the one thing I'd say about relationships is having realistic expectations. And I think a lot of people don't go into relationships with realistic expectations. I think you have to really just kind of just I don't know any better way to say it, just have realistic goals and realistic expectations of each other.
And don't try to get into a relationship and want to change somebody.
That's God, yeah. Like, again, why are you in the relationship with them if you're not happy with them?
Yeah. People are not fixer-uppers. They're not like that falling apart house. They're just like, the people. So it's like, it's better to find people you're compatible with.
Yeah. No, like I believe that love is that being in love with someone makes me want to be a better person. Not to impress them, but because I'm so happy being a better person around them.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm definitely a better person because of him. Definitely.
She is.
No.
No, yeah. We keep each other in check, and we both need that because, the world's a crazy place, and so are we. So it's like, sometimes you need somebody to kind of reel you in when
we're both crazy.
Going off the road a little bit. So.
Yeah. So, honestly, and I was going to ask for advice, but that you would give to people, and that's it right there. Like the realistic expectations.
Be friends.
Yeah, like just enjoy each other's company, and if you don't, maybe it's not working out.
I agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I guess after 20 years, you would probably know whether or not it's working out.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And I think we're both animal lovers.
I would hope so, considering you have 3 dogs around you right now.
Exactly.
It would suck if we weren't.
We're both covered in dog hair right now. These clothes are covered in dog hair.
Yeah, and you've got a white dog too. Black clothes and a white dog. That's like a nightmare.
He sheds so much.
You've got a black light in that room and everything. You're just asking for it.
Oh yeah.
If everybody could see exactly how bad this really looked.
Luckily, the lighting is fantastic right now, so you're fine. As far as I can tell, it's all black. You're good. So, we've been talking about the music, and I guess the big question is, obviously there are a lot of Dead Cool fans in the chat right now, but let's imagine for a moment that someone's watching this that's never really heard the band before. Where's a good place to find your music?
Bandcamp is the best place.
Yeah, Bandcamp definitely the best.
And Bandcamp, Spotify, we're all over. We're all over that.
And I talked before the interview that you all are also fairly active on social media as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
We try.
So, are there specific social media accounts that prospective Dead Cool fans should check out, like Instagram or Facebook or?
I think we're on Instagram the most. We post a lot on Instagram. Facebook, we're still on Facebook. And Johnny does the TikTok page. It's so hard for me to keep up with all of it. He's the TikTok person.
I think our Instagram has, it's the most informative.
Yeah,
that's where it gets the most. I actually hate Facebook, so it's like but I use
That's
it.
why you all don't see Johnny on Facebook often.
Yeah.
He doesn't do a whole lot of social media. But I'm on Facebook. We're both on Instagram, and he's on TikTok.
Awesome.
Because I can't keep up with all of it.
Yeah, no, I mean, trying to be the media manager for this project is just like, oh my God, too many. So I understand completely. Pick the one that you like and go with it.
Yeah. But yeah, and we also have a YouTube page. We're working on a new video, and
Oh, really?
yeah. So
we have a new single coming out.
we're doing a video this weekend. We're recording the video this weekend, and it should be out. The new song's going to be out on Bandcamp Friday, the first Friday in March, and so that'll be on Bandcamp and Spotify. Oh yeah, March 3rd. Yeah. So Bandcamp Friday, March 3rd is the
March
new
3rd.
single. Yeah.
Okay.
We're doing a video. I have a dog biting my hand right now, but we're doing the video this weekend. As long as it doesn't rain, we're really excited about the video.
Well, that's exciting. That's wonderful. All right. Well, now I have something to look forward to.
Yeah. Hopefully.
So the face spotter in chat
Hi.
Hey.
wants to know if we're allowed to know the name of the new single yet.
It's called Stranger Kind.
Stranger Kind. Okay.
Yeah. Like, we are the stranger kind. It will make
Angela
more.
is the stranger kind.
I am the strange. Romeo is the stranger kind.
Romeo's got a haircut that makes it look like he wants to speak to your manager.
He has the Karen cut. Let me speak to your manager. I think he looks like Iggy Pop.
I can see that.
Like, look at that body. He's like Iggy Pop.
That's just because he's skinny and hairless.
And wrinkly.
Yep. Oh, that's fair. Iggy Pop completely. Done. So, again, thank you all very much for being on the chat tonight. Was there anything else you wanted to leave with us? We've got a new video, new single coming out on Bandcamp Friday. Shows coming up.
Yeah.
We got a bunch of shows coming up. We're actually going to be going to Europe
we're going
for
the first time in April.
What? Awesome.
We're super, super excited. We haven't even announced that tour yet, but it's the end of April and into May. We'll be in Europe. We're going to be
on tour with Yami Specci, DJ.
Oh. You heard it here first.
Yep.
It's going to be fun.
And we're going to Malta, our first day.
Dude.
And we'll be at, we're going to go to Popeye's Village.
Angela's looking forward to Popeye's Village.
I'm looking really forward to Popeye's Village.
But yeah, we're going to do 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks over in Europe.
So Lock 42 in chat is really hoping you're playing in the UK.
We are.
We are.
We're playing at the Slime Light. We're playing May the 6th. It's either May 5th or May 6th at the Slime Light.
Well, there you go, Lock 42.
Yeah.
It's coming your way.
We're so excited. And we're going to be announcing those dates in really soon, within the next couple of weeks.
Awesome. Exciting news? Yeah.
Super excited.
Well, wonderful. Well, I wish you all nothing but the best, because it's really neat to see just this meteoric rise. And I hope that it continues this way.
I appreciate you having us so much, and appreciate anybody that's in the chat room.
Yeah.
Well, now you're ready for a real interview, now that you've cut your teeth here. So
this is our first interview, so if we look stupid or sound stupid, I'm sorry.
Just blame me. Just say it's my fault. Say, yeah, the questions were bad.
When we're on stage, we don't talk very much. We're just like that.
Silence.
It's like this. The whole time is like.
No music, just silence.
Like this. We're dead cool.
Dead cool.
Yeah, that's it. But yeah, I'm not used to talking on here.
Well, I enjoyed it. And for those of you that are, whether you're listening live or checking out the video, now you know that there's other things you can check out. You can go to Dead Cool at Bandcamp, their YouTube page, and check out all the new music. Next week, I'm going to have Julian Shaw Taylor in the studio, so that's going to be a whole lot of fun. And thank you again. Thank you, Dead Cool. Thank you, puppies.
Thank you very much. Thanks to
you
everybody.
so
Thank you.
much.
And everybody that was watching, thank you very much. Have a great evening.
Bye.